The party leader, proud and jubilant, joyfully announced their promotion to S rank, urging everyone to raise their glasses in celebration. A group of adventurers sat around a table laden with food. They raised their tankards of ale in a toast, a joyous expression on each of their faces. The party leader reveled in their recent success at the bar, with him proudly noting that they were now officially top tier after discovering rare treasures in a chest, while the party leader acknowledged their new status with satisfaction. But then the party leader said to hit the road, kicking him out of the party. Reacted with a sudden exclamation of bewilderment. With a weary sigh, resignedly accepted that he was being cut loose yet again. Reflecting on their experiences, muses over the countless parties they've drifted through, each ending for the same frustrating reason. It's because of his skill appraisal. The appraisal skill, which allows the user to gather information about items and materials they physically touch. Dejected, contemplated how his skill, while potentially invaluable for a merchant, was considered utterly worthless for an adventurer, being a mere support ability that offered no combat aid and thus earning it the sneering label of a trash skill from those who mocked him. By some cruel joke of fate, appraisal is the only skill he ever learned, leaving them to contemplate their circumstances. Feeling frustrated, reflected on his failures, admitting to himself that despite training in various disciplines like swords, spears, bows, and magic to compensate for his lack of skills, he never advanced beyond the beginner rank and found himself useless when situations became critical. Feeling the harsh reality of his situation, resignedly lamented that even with his foresight, being kicked out still felt like a punch to the gut. Admitting that as the dead weight holding everyone back, his expulsion had been inevitable. Standing in the doorway with a crutch and feeling frustrated yet determined, resolved to start over the next day and find another party, despite the challenges he faced. When entered the room, he stood wide-eyed and shocked, as he discovered his room had been thoroughly ransacked. Visibly taken aback and shielding his eyes, was stunned as he reacted with shock to the unexpected situation. Angrily examines its contents. He declares that the items within are worthless, insisting that he, as the appraiser, knows there is nothing of value remaining. He scoffs at the idea that this is a parting gift, calling it garbage and expressing his disbelief that anyone would be fooled by its apparent worth. Pulled out a cloth bundle, unwrapped it, and found only a broken sword hilt. He looked surprised and confused. Looking curious and alert, reacted with surprise to something unexpected, his expression mirroring the confusion of the moment. Is surprised to discover there are some items he never appraised. Frustrated with himself, admitted that even at his lowest point, his first instinct was still to appraise things. Feeling skeptical yet curious, assessed the unknown items scattered on the floor, musing that while appraisal didn't hurt, it was likely just more worthless junk. There's a shattered spearhead, a weathered sword hilt, a magic stone chip, a tattered banner scrap, and a weathered bow frame. All are described as having unknown details. Feeling both curious and annoyed, examined the items, noting their ancient appearance and expressing his frustration over the lack of detail, as he muttered that they seemed so fragile they might turn to dust with a sneeze. Surprised and alert, turned towards the object, noticing a mysterious object near the door as he wondered aloud if there was one last thing. A large, dark orb labeled Crystal of Truth is being held. The orb is identified as a magic tool, but its details are described as appraisal impossible. Pensive and curious, questioned the crystal's nature, wondering if it resisted appraisal as if it had a will of its own, noting that the result was not unknown, but rather impossible. Express his bitterness about being fired and his repeated failures. He comments on the irony of the situation, given the Crystal of Truth. With his party's harsh words in his mind, thinks that if they can't even perform a simple appraisal, then they are truly useless. That the orb's assessment sounds about right. In a fit of rage, thrown the Crystal of Truth, breaking it to multiple pieces. Floating among the broken crystals, a sense of reflection emerged as the realization dawned that venting frustration on lifeless objects was ultimately futile. Suddenly darkness swept through the area, catching by surprise. He looked around, clearly startled by the unexpected force. Looked on in alarm as a dark energy enveloped him. He wondered if this was the crystal's doing, expressing his confusion and fear. Feeling pensive, found himself experiencing a life review as a montage of his past moments and memories unfolded before him, prompting him to wonder if this was the of life flashing before his eyes. Reflecting deeply, questioned his past ambitions, pondering why he had ever wanted to become an adventurer, and realized it was out of pure admiration for those he once saw. Recounts a traumatic event from his past. When he was about 10 years old, monsters attacked his home village. When thought it was the end, a group of adventurers arrived, embodying the hope of heroes from a story. He was awestruck by their appearance, thinking they were magnificent, fearless, and cool. He aspired to be brave and strong like them, fighting monsters. Reflects on a recent experience, feeling as though his own personal narrative has finally started after a period of aimlessness and a lack of direction in life. He had previously felt like he was drifting without clear dreams or goals. Somberly reflected on the long journey he had undertaken, feeling melancholic as he considered that despite finally becoming an adventurer, something still felt incomplete. Expresses feelings of exhaustion and frustration, lamenting his inability to reach his ideal self, no matter how hard he tries. He feels a significant gap in talent that he can't overcome. Lost in reflection, pondered whether they were truly content with allowing their life to conclude in such a manner. But with hands clenched, yelled no in defiance. With determination etched across his face, protested loudly as he defiantly shouted while clenching his fist. Then the darkness fades. Stood amid the field of flowers, observing the scenery with a tranquil expression as petals danced around him in the gentle breeze. Thinks to himself whether this is heaven. An unseen presence addresses him, calling him my dear child, and denying that it is heaven. The unknown figure delivered a foreboding message about heaven's sterile soil, explaining that it was a place where living things were not born, while he listened intently with apprehension. Standing before a person with long flowing hair, looked somewhat distraught. Wondered who is this guy, but then I thought came into his mind. Curious and wary, challenged the figure named Rowan by questioning whether the crystal of truth was truly his, to which he calmly claimed ownership of the significant object. Nervously admitted that he had broken it, to which Rowan calmly reassured him that he indeed had. Rowan expresses regret, lamenting the damage done to what they describe as a truly artistic vintage piece made thousands of years ago. Apologized profusely, looking distressed. Rowan, with a mockingly playful demeanor, joked about the crystal of truth's activation condition, initially claiming it was fine before retracting his statement with a jest, while reacted with visible surprise. Visibly frustrated, questioned whether the trigger could have been activated by tapping it gently, while Rowan apologized. Questioned the location of the palace they were apparently approaching, expressing uncertainty about their destination. Rowan declares that he experiencing this is within their consciousness, their spiritual domain, or, in simpler terms, a dream. Rowan explained that the place they were in was a sanctuary he created. He stated its purpose was to meet the person destined to unlock the artifact's true power. Curious and reflective, questioned his selection, while he explained that was chosen due to his strong refusal to accept limits and his will to change the present, amidst a flurry of petals. Rowan addressed, telling him to mark this moment. He declared that from this point forward would carry the potential to surpass every living being. Astonished and unsure, reacted to Rowan's unexpected confidence, questioning how he could express such certainty. Rowan, with a confident mentor, reassured him, declaring that his unique skill would force their potential to bloom. Rowan described this skill as skill evolution, a power allowing them to reshape another skill, forging it into something entirely new. The user must first embark on a journey of introspection, understanding every strength, flaw, and hidden corner within themselves. Rowan gently touched his forehead. He questioned about what he had witnessed in the darkness. Told Rowan that he saw his entire life and everything he had done, but he, if that was the only thing he saw. Overwhelmed, saw memories that even he did not remember. Rowan explained that he could see visions of his potential futures. He clarified that these were not simply visions of the future, but something more precise. The memories of different you, a fragment of possibility, and the self born from the choice you didn't. Rowan, with a reflective tone, encouraged him to introspect on the countless futures where he might have glimpsed the heights he could achieve, as listened intently, his demeanor pensive. Rowan confidently explained that his skill could draw out the most exceptional power within someone, and use that power to overwrite their very being. Rowan warned that the backlash from some action would soon arrive. He then asked to give him his hand. Looking troubled, thinks about Rowan. He finds Rowan suspicious, noting that he gives off the vibes of a magician. Despite observing him, still feels uncertain about Rowan's true nature. Feeling the weight of his thoughts, reflected on his desire for personal growth, hopeful yet tempered by the expectations of what change might bring. Made his decision, he held out his hand. He wishes for this moment to be real, hoping to finally become the adventurer they've always dreamed of being. Feeling both startled and overwhelmed, was astonished as he experienced a sudden surge of power welling up from deep within his chest. Rowan comments that obtaining the crystal might be a coincidence, however, dismisses it as just a coincidence. Rowan muses that while events might seem coincidental, they are often better described as fate. Rowan expresses a wish for a future filled with happiness for someone. The words evolution complete, appraisal to inheritance appear below, marking a change. Then woke up with shock in his eyes. Is sitting on the floor looking confused, he wonders if he passed out. Sits up distressed, he realizes that some broken pieces of crystal are missing. Realizes that what happened wasn't a dream. The skill allows the user to inherit the power and essence of a previous item owner by touching tools, weapons, or armor. Inheritable traits include experience, memories, and all the owner's skills. Processing the implications of the inheritance skill, realizing that he can absorb the power of legends. He understands this changes everything. Driven by curiosity, reaches for the random junk scattered with the mysterious crystal, ready to test its potential. Chanted the skill inheritance. In that moment, he experienced the entire breathtaking life of Sword St. Julia's, surrounded by framing film strips of heroic scenes. Comments that there is no way to describe it, the sheer weight and magnitude of one ordinary life. Tears streaming down his face, reflects on the previous owner's combat prowess and following skills now residing within him. From the very first breath she took to her final one, whether in battle or in peace, the character reflected on experiencing every triumph, failure, joy, and sorrow. Discovered something about using an inheritance, specifically that wielding its powers requires carrying the full weight of the inheritor's life. He realizes this is the catch. He expresses a need to use the bathroom and comments on how long he's been out, also mentioning his hunger. He stood by the window, thoughtfully gazing at the cloudy evening sky, lost in his own contemplations. Looks shocked and disbelieving, his eyes wide. He exclaims that he was out for a whole day. Looking exhausted, he reflects on the experience, noting that it was incredibly intense and that he feels completely drained, likely due to having been in a sleep-like state due to his skill inheritance. Inheriting her power unlocked another piece of crucial information, revealing new insights. These tools belong to heroes who once traveled together with a woman. Solomon, Cran, and Julius stood side by side, each exuding their unique aura of wisdom, confidence, and resolve. Rowan, a phantom demon, Freya, a saintess, and Artemisia, a heaven's eye, they are presented as the enigmatic sixth. Now understands what Rowan meant by "we shall be watching and praying for your success." Notes saying the other heroes must have lived as intense life, has the saints inheriting something will require considerable resolve, and take several days. Expresses a desire to see everything. With fierce determination, unleashed a powerful burst of energy, embodying the intensity of his skill inheritance. 1 week has pasted since he used inheritance. Who has just inherited the powers of 5 fallen heroes traveling in a horse-drawn cart. He reflects on his journey, having cleared out his old belongings in and is heading to Regalia, a haven for adventurers for a fresh start. Feeling the power of his newly acquired skills, reflects on his current situation. Regalia, a haven for adventurers, is a perfect place for him to start from. It begins to rain, realizes this is bad timing and needs to move. Is seen traveling in the rain. Worries that traveling in the rain increases his chances of a monster ambush. Suddenly something goes wrong with the horse and carriage, is startled and asks what's wrong. In the distance, a large group of figures can be seen through the rain in the forest. A fierce battle unfolds in the forest as travelers desperately defend against a group of goblins. Sat in the rain, observing a large group of goblins approaching. He estimated their number to be between 20 and 30. He felt that even if he had tried to get help, it would have been too late to save whoever was being attacked. Despite this grim assessment, reflected on his past self, believing that his former self would have been incapable of doing anything in this situation. However, now he is different, he had a newfound determination. Is resolved to save them from the goblins. The echoes of the heroes within surge through him as he, his determined team, their combined experiences and instincts igniting a powerful resolve to save those in peril. With a focused and confident demeanor, summoned a magical bow, channeling his intense determination into manifesting its power. Focused and determined, called out resolutely for the legendary heroes to lend their strength, while another, surprised and hopeful, anxiously listened to his desperate plea. Arrived with precise timing, maintaining a focused demeanor as they reacted with fright to the sudden attack, while the beast women, shocked by the unexpected event, wondered aloud what had just transpired. Cloaked and attentive, looked over his shoulder in the rain, concerned as he inquired about any injuries. Standing confidently in the rain, assured everyone that they should leave the rest to him and find safety, exuding a calm and controlled demeanor as he offered protection. Determined to unveil hidden truths, focused intensely as he activated the powerful clairvoyance skill. Focused and strategic, assessed the enemy forces, noting 2 hidden mages in the trees and counting 10 goblins in plain view. With a confident demeanor, raised his hand and remarked that although the task seemed hardly a challenge, it would serve as decent target practice as he prepared to initiate the challenge. With a determined expression, commanded the magical ability known as the sword's blessing to unleash, as beams of light erupted around him. The beast women observed in astonishment as he unveiled a powerful light sword, leaving her surprised by the sudden appearance of the glowing weapon. Focused and agile, executed a rapid attack with determined intensity, his sword slashes cutting through multiple creatures with fierce precision. The 3 characters, the elf, the beast women, and the mage, reacted with shock and confusion as they struggled to comprehend the rapid vanishing of the goblins, with they expressing their astonishment at the speed and attempting to process the event. The mage, vigilant and concerned, warned of danger from behind as knelt defensively, his glowing sword ready and his demeanor alert. Alert and prepared, observed the goblin mages as they chanted and tried to fire off a spell, confirming his suspicion about them lying in wait. Focused and critical, noting that it was too slow. Determined and focused, resolutely unleashed the shimmering anti-magic chains called Dispel Chain, a powerful spell inherited from the sage Solomon to intercept and neutralize incoming spells. With a determined expression, raised his hand to demonstrate a remarkable magical ability that left those around him deeply impressed. Standing confidently at the center of a swirling energy vortex with his arm raised, cast a powerful spell with determined intensity. Feeling relieved, calmly assessed the aftermath as he concluded that everything was in order. Spikes erupted from the ground, demonstrating overwhelming power as they effortlessly pierced several goblins, hinting that this force was far beyond what they could withstand. With a concerned expression, checked on the girls to ensure they were okay. 2 blushing characters, the beast women and the mage, faced him with clenched fists, their embarrassment evident as they confronted him with determination. The beast women, amazed and curious, asked who he was, while the mage, impressed and enthusiastic, admired the mysterious man's amazing feat, leaving calm and receiving their praise with a smile. The elf, with an amused smile, urged the girls to focus, blending a playful encouragement with a light-hearted atmosphere. The elf encouraged the girls to speak, leaving him feeling confused and caught off guard by their expectant and supportive prompts. The elf, along with the beast women and the mage, bowed deeply, expressing their sincere gratitude for having their lives saved. Assured them that there was no need to thank him, expressing his gladness for being able to help and his relief at not arriving too late.